On this episode of China Uncensored, China's peaceful military just got more peaceful. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Last week, China launched its first aircraft carrier that can proudly carry the label, Made in China. Why, they even broke a champagne bottle on it and it didn't sink. Xinhua reported the new aircraft carrier comes complete with propulsion and electricity installed. That means no more paddling. Now this is a big deal for China. How big? Well, I think the Register put it best. It's 2.1 brontosauruses big. That's about one brontosaurus shorter than the Empire State Building. The yet unnamed aircraft carrier is based on a Soviet design and can carry 69 aircraft. China's other aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, is a refurbished one bought off Ukraine during the Soviet Union's going out of business sale. Type 001A, as it's known now, will be fully operational by 2020. And don't worry, state-run Xinhua assures us it's all part of China's peaceful development as well as to protect world peace. World peace. I guess Xinhua is getting ready for pageant season.
World peace.
World peace.
World peace. Definitely world peace.
It will be particularly good for protecting the peace in China's territory in the South China Sea from those no-good invading Filipino fishermen. The new aircraft carrier was launched as part of a celebration marking the 68th anniversary of the People's Liberation Army Navy. It's a little confusing because they have the word Army in there, whether it's the People's Liberation Army Air Force, People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, or even the People's Liberation Army Army. Maybe that's one of the things Xi Jinping will be streamlining. Anyway, the People's Liberation Army Navy celebration was not without snafu, a Chinese term meaning the party planned it that way all along. The Ministry of National Defense released this image on its social media account of the Liaoning. Apart from it looking terrible, as Chinese netizens were quick to point out, that's a Russian jet, those are US destroyers, and those J-10 jet fighters, while indeed Chinese planes, are not the J-15s that are actually found on the Liaoning. To be fair, it is less bad than other government Photoshop attempts. Now, they built this incredibly fast, in only 4 years. And according to a Defense Ministry spokesman, the lessons learned from building it will help China build more carriers faster in the future and enable them to reach combat readiness quicker. By comparison, the United States' latest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, began construction 8 years ago, launched in 2013, and is still being worked on, probably because it kept falling downstairs. It is a more advanced aircraft carrier, but the US has been building them since World War II, which explains why the USS Gerald Ford is 2.4 brontosauruses big. But bigger isn't always better. Is this the start of a new and formidable Chinese Navy capable of projecting its power throughout the region? Well, not so fast. The speed with which this new aircraft carrier was built should be your first clue something isn't right. There are huge technological gaps between this new Chinese aircraft carrier and US ones. The engines are steam-powered rather than nuclear. It's about half the size of the Ford. It also relies on a ski jump ramp to get aircraft into the air versus the catapult system the US has been using since World War II. The problems go deeper, like China's lack of a joint operations command. That's how the different branches of the military talk to each other. Even with a shiny new aircraft carrier, without a functioning joint command, the PLA's ability to project power will be stunted. I spoke to senior researcher and defense analyst Andy Wolf, who described it like trying to get a baseball team, a chess team, and a racing team to become a professional hockey team overnight. Well, that sounds easy, and explains why the New York Rangers have recruited Derek Jeter, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Gary Kasparov for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Another issue is China needed this yesterday. If the US is carrying out military action in China's backyard to deter North Korea, and there aren't any Chinese Navy vessels around, that will make China look weak. That's why Mr. Wolf also told me his sources in the Chinese military have said there's been a surge in military activity along the coast, and some bases have been ordered on high alert. But hey, the Chinese regime is saying they've already started on a Type 002 aircraft carrier, which will have a catapult system. Then, they could have up to 4 nuclear-powered Type 003s completed in the 2020s that could rival U.S. aircraft carriers. And then, the PLA Navy would truly be a high-tech model of peaceful development.
And world peace.
So what do you think of China's new aircraft carrier? And more importantly, what do you think it should be named? I'm going with Aircraft McCarrier Face. Leave your suggestions below. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored.